Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak in Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by my two very close friends, Ray Clifford, who's in Ohio, and Ralph Schraeg, who's up in Massachusetts. We're recording this on Thursday night, the last day of November, November 30th at 7:30. Ray, how you doing there? Welcome back.
Very good. Much better. About 90% at least. My voice still, I can't shout at the TV too much or it cuts out. So I can't even hear myself screaming at some call. But other than that, good.
Okay, and Ralph, how about you?
Well, I'm great because there wasn't a Jet game in the last couple of days. So.
All right. Anyway, of course, we're going to get into it. The Jets are in the midst of a four-game losing streak. They announced that Tim Boyle will be quarterback, but more important than that, Ralph Schraeg has a classic trivia question, which we look forward to. It's I don't want to say the highlight. The highlight's the over-unders, but it's almost up there. Go ahead, Ralph. Ask the
Okay,
question.
so in this new millennium or in the 21st century, whatever you want to call it, the Jets have played Atlanta 5 times, and predictably they've lost 4 out of the 5. The one game they won was in 2013, 30-28. The quarterback that day threw 3 touchdown passes. Can you name the quarterback and the 3 different receivers who caught the touchdown passes? A hint: 2 of the 3 were tight ends. And if you guys,
did you say the year?
2013. And if you guys get this question, you will take over as super fan from our regular super fan, Matt Lewis, because it's a tough question, but it's a fun one when you hear some of the names.
Right. That's a very good question, as we're going to be playing these Atlanta Falcons.
That's right.
They never saw a team that keeps losing. They keep going up in the standings in their division.
I know, that's right.
It's really funny. It really is. But
we've always been in the wrong division.
Right. Okay. The first question is, and it's kind of appropriate, not just for the Jets. We're going to get into it, but who do you think is more important to a football team's success? The head coach or the GM? I want to start with Ralph.
Well, I think of 2 examples. I think the head coaches, not that the GM isn't important, but I think of Bum Phillips' line about Don Shula when he said he can take his and beat yours, and the next week he can take yours and beat his. And then I think of Bill Parcells, who took over a bad Giants team, a really bad Patriots team, a really bad Jets team, and in a matter of 2 years had those teams really good. Great coach can take average players and do something with them. Great coach, and there aren't that many great coaches, obviously Shula and Parcells, but there's no way the Jets would be performing the way they are now with a really quality coach. They might not be, a Super Bowl contender, but they would be a respectable team on the field, instead of the disgrace that they are now.
You're right. And Ray, what your opinion? But before I just want to ask Ralph, because you're up there, and you mentioned Bill Parcells. Just go back in history when he took over the Patriots. Did Bob Kraft buy the team in the middle of his tenure there as coach?
Yeah, they were 1-15 when he took over, so they had the first pick, and they took Bledsoe over Rick Meyer, and within 2 years they were in the playoffs.
Right, and Kraft bought it, but
yeah,
I'm asking that for some reason, and they had a kind of a messy divorce. Kraft wanted to take away the player personnel duties of
Parcells. Yeah,
because he was like striking out a lot in the draft.
Right, and the famous line was, "I want to buy the groceries."
You're going to cook the dinner. You want to buy the groceries.
Right, which he said that to Leon Hess. All right, Ray, what's your opinion about who's more important, the head coach or the general manager?
Same as Ralph, definitely the head coach. I mean, and Parcells was my one. He took a 1-15 Jets team and came last game of the season. We had a chance to be in the playoffs, and we played Detroit and lost. But still, his first year he turned them completely around. So they play off each other though. If you don't have a good GM, which we haven't had several of them. And I'm not even talking about Joe Douglas. I'm talking about the ones prior to that. If you have a bad GM, he can torpedo the team as well. I mean, it helps to have a competent GM as well, but he's not more important than the head coach. The head coach can work around the GM if he gets him, even I won't say pedestrian, but above average, but not. They don't have to be elite players, and a coach can make them a good team, a competent team, a competitive team. So, yeah, head coach first, GM.
Right.
Not that far behind, but GM second.
Right. And I agree, though I think they really should be tied at the hip. And
Yeah.
I had said with Robert Saleh, who we're at a point where it's beyond belief what's going on, but we all like him, and I happen to think he's going to be better a second time around if they do get rid of him. It doesn't work out in New York. But Ralph, who is the coach of the Jaguars? Because that's a great example of changing coaches.
Yeah, Doug Peterson.
Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, took over for Urban Meyer. And just talking about Urban Meyer, I mean, Frank Reich didn't even get as many games as Urban Meyer.
Really?
Yeah.
You know that Frank Reich is the first coach in history to be fired in consecutive years from jobs in the NFL? Yeah.
I thought it was someone else. I heard that question. I thought there was somebody else in 1970.
Was there?
I could be wrong.
1970.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going back too far. I guess it wasn't Charlie Winter.
Well, Lou Holtz quit. Does that count?
Wasn't Winter before Charlie before Lou Holtz? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
through 11 games.
Yeah.
And this is a Jets show, and we talk about the Jets. I just want to ask you each, what was your opinion about the Frank Reich and the David Tepper fiasco in Carolina, Ralph?
Well, I mean, Tepper obviously has a very little patience, as opposed to, what's going on with the Jets, where I think they have too much patience right now. That's a bad situation in Carolina. But like I said the other day, Ray, I don't think you were on the show,
No, I listened. No.
Carolina is, they're a dysfunctional team right now. They're probably the most dysfunctional organization in the league. But I guarantee in 3 years from now, they'll be better than the Jets. Like all these teams that are dysfunctional, like Cincinnati and Cleveland and Jacksonville and Houston over the last 6 or 7 years, they've all been horrible. And the Jets remain horrible, and Carolina will find a way. Frank Reich is obviously one of these guys who's probably a better offensive coordinator than coach, although I hear as an offensive coordinator, he can be pretty stubborn too. I don't think I want the Jets to get him in any way.
Ray, what about you? What's your take on the Frank Reich fiasco in Carolina?
Well, I think Tepper's an idiot, but I just think that he's one of these guys that he reminds me of the early Steinbrenner. I was telling you that, where Steinbrenner paid all the money for these guys and then act like they're like robots. I'm paying you this money, you're supposed to perform. Well, it doesn't actually work that way. And that's how Tepper seems to be with the coaches. And he's just, oh, you aren't good enough. I don't know what his expectations were out of this season, but they were clearly unrealistic, because if he thought he was going to turn him into like a Super Bowl contender or even a playoff team in his first year, Reich had, he's got a lot of work to do with Bryce Young, and well, somebody does. They were a team in building, and I thought in time they were, making the right moves with the guys they got rid of, the guys they brought in. And so, who knows? If he's the kind of owner I absolutely don't want, who meddles, and he's not a football guy, but he thinks.
Yeah. I think one of the things that probably really gets under Tepper's skin is watching CJ Stroud each week. And I have a feeling that Reich probably had a lot of input into picking Bryce Young, which was surprising, because I know, Reich always liked big quarterbacks.
He does like big quarterbacks.
Whatever the reasoning was, that was a blunder that's probably going to live with him the rest of his career.
Tepper did. Now, whether or not he's just kind of taken some of the blame to deflect a little, but he did say he was on board with Bryce being picked. But you watch what Stroud did, and I can't imagine he's not kicking himself right now.
Yeah. Now, talking about these coaches, and I'll start with Ray. Is it a guarantee that Salah will be back next year, or is there any way he won't be back next year? And I guess the question is part of that is Aaron Rodgers, is he like giving them a lifeline?
Well, yeah, clearly. I think they're afraid to fire. I don't think they'd be afraid to fire Salah, but then they'd have to tell the incoming guy that you've got to put up with
Exactly.
Nathaniel Hackett as the coordinator.
Yeah.
And I don't think
they
would
won't
do
get
that.
anybody.
No, they wouldn't get that. So I think that's why I think Rodgers is the key, which you hope. Yeah, I don't know what to expect out of this. I'm stunned that he's practicing. My thought is, why would you want to come back to this mess? I mean, what are you going to do? They're not going to make the playoffs. That's clear. So what you're going to chance your health and I'd rather have him 100% healthy next year and hope we get some guys on the line to kind of be able to protect him and go at it again next year than to watch him come back, and who knows what will happen if he comes back this year. But barring him not coming back, I can't see any way they get rid of Salah, because they won't. They're fearful of then getting rid of Hackett, and then you pissed off Rodgers.
Right. And Ralph, your take on it, and Ralph with you, and I should have asked Ray, there's a part B to the question. If and when they get rid of Salah, is he tied to the hip with Joe Douglas? Are they both going to go? So
I don't think so, actually. They might both go, but I don't think they are necessarily tied at the hip. I think Ray hit it on the nose about Salah. It's Hackett, and you're not going to get. First of all, about 7 or 8 or 9 coaches get fired every year, and when Salah gets fired, whether it's this year or next year, the Jets are going to be on the bottom of the list of desirable places to go. And the idea that they're going to get anybody and then they're going to say, you got to keep Hackett, is insane. It's not going to happen. Remember what happened with Matt Rule and McCagnon? So I think we're stuck another year. We just have to hope and pray that Salah suddenly realizes that he's got to treat these guys like grown-ups and not like little kids, because we are stuck with him. The whole Rodgers thing is crazy. It's just such classic Jets that we've gotten ourselves into this quagmire. It's insane. Yeah.
The one thing I'll say, and of course, Salah, you're right. He holds hands and all that. But last week, the two things were a little telling: that he benched Alan Lazard, number one, and number two, on that our first defensive play, who was the guy that after
Quentin Jefferson, yeah,
he sat him down after that for a few plays. So maybe he says, I can't keep up with this ideology as a head coach, but we'll have to see what happens. Ralph, I'm going to start with you. Do you think the way it's going, do you think the Jets will end up with a top 5 pick?
Yeah, I think I do. You've got Carolina, the Cardinals, and the Patriots. After that, I think the Jets have as good a shot of getting the 4th pick as anyone at this point. So I'm hoping, yeah.
All right, and Ray, by the way, I'm backpedaling on Michael Penix II. And I don't want to. I could tell you off the air a few things that bother me. Okay, Ray, what's your opinion about a top 5 pick?
Well, I mean, after you get past, is it the Patriots that are 3rd at 2 and whatever? I think
Patriots, Carolina, and
I think the Patriots were in 3rd, and after that, it's really kind of everybody's kind of got 4 wins and however many losses, and so we have as good a shot as anybody. and I have faith in our offensive line to get us there. So,
go ahead, Ray. I just wanted to
now Rodgers coming back, that's kind of a wild card on it. If he comes in and acts like the savior and wins 2 or 3 games,
that would be wonderful. Perfect, right? That would be just perfect.
And Bill will be secure in the 3rd spot by the last game of the season, so he's not gonna he'd love to beat the Jets on his way out, but if it'll screw us by beating them, he'd be happy
Well,
you
we
know,
might see
by letting
Randall.
us beat him.
We might see Randall Cobb at quarterback against the Patriots. You never know. Hey, listen, before I go on, we're going to get into if we think the Jets are going to draft a quarterback. I got to do a shout out. A very good friend of mine, his significant other, Patty August, no relation to Rob August, but Patty August, for whatever reason, and Ralph, I'll just let you know, you've recruited some Jet fans. And it's the same thing from my end. I'm sure Ray has recruited a few Jet fans too.
I know. I feel great guilt about it too.
So, and all of a sudden, Patty August has become not just a Jets fan, but a huge Jets Rewind fan. So, Patty, thanks for listening. Say hi to Hank for me. And we're going to turn this around one day. So, all right, let's move on now. Ray.
We may not be here to see it, but we're going to turn it around. So.
We'll turn it around, yeah. What are the odds that the Jets draft a quarterback in the first round, Ray?
I'd say right now it's about 50-50. I think a lot will depend on where we do end up with the pick. If it's top 5, I'm afraid to say that unless depend on who the lineman is that might be available. But as much as we always want them to, do something with the line, they never do. So I'm thinking if they're in top 5, they're probably going to see which of those quarterbacks is available. But the upside of that would be, as you guys talked about, and we've talked about it before, would be if Rodgers is back, let him sit for a year and kind of learn, maybe 2 years even, if Rodgers is true to his word. So that'd be fine. So I'd be okay with that if we end up with one that they don't clean house and try and start him right away with no veteran in the room. And, but I think it's about 50-50.
Right. Ralph, how do you feel?
I hope they don't, and I don't think they will. I hope they don't because I don't think this present coaching staff knows how to develop them. I don't think they will because I think Sal and Joe Douglas, are under the gun to win now. And, there's always a conflict of interest in these situations. And for them now, it's panic time. And I think they will go with someone who can help them more immediately. So I would say maybe 20% chance.
I'm going to say it's about 50-50. I think they're going to come back with a new attitude. I think Aaron Rodgers will come back. And I think it's the ideal situation of having a quarterback sit for a year. We've all been touting that. And we all saw what happened to Patrick Mahomes. He sat behind Alex Smith for a year, and he claims it did him a whole lot of good. So I say it's going to be 50-50. And you know me, I want to draft another quarterback in the 4th round, but that's me. But Ralph, no matter where they pick whatever, and they lost the 2nd round pick, it was part of the Aaron Rodgers trade. It would have been a 1st round if he played an X amount of plays, which he didn't do because of injury. Your feeling about them trading back, trying to get that 2nd round pick back?
Yeah, I think he's going to try his best, Douglas, to do that, and I want him to too. I mean, they need bodies. If they get a couple of linemen in the 1st and 2nd round, then they can go for their quarterback in the 3rd round to make Marty happy. And Michael Penix won't be there, but I don't want him to be there. But
yeah.
By
the way, it's a very good year for offensive linemen. The best would be in Penn State. Oregon has a good one. Georgia has a few. Ohio State has a couple. There's a center who I like in West Virginia. We
don't need a center now. I thought.
Well, you can always move a center to guard.
That's true. By the way, the guy we're playing against this week, Desmond Ridder, was a 3rd round pick, Marty. So I mean, not that he's done that great.
He's a teammate of Sauce Gardner.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sauce should know all his tendencies, so he has no excuses this week.
But he's another guy that starts right out of the gate, and I think we're seeing more evidence that you see these guys like Burrow and Herbert, and they think everybody can be like that right out of the gate.
Yeah.
It's just not that way normally. These guys need time.
Yeah.
I think Ritter could be a good quarterback, but you throw him in there right away, and I think it stunts a lot of their growth more than helps.
And Ray, what about you as far as trading back? What's your opinion on that?
But I'm always like, tell me who's available, at the spot they're at, and how, who we could have. And I don't mind trading back, but if somebody's there that you can really, you think is going to be what you need, and I'm all for it, going for it. But if they trade back and don't trade back too far and get, a second or another third, whatever, I'm okay with that. The more picks, the more chances we have to screw up and still, come out looking okay. So that was the Bill Belichick, theory for years, and it worked for him.
Yeah, he was a horrible drafter. People don't
Horrible drafter, but he had
a lot
30
of
picks every year.
Spread the risk. But I just thought of something else. I heard it quoted that the franchise tag, if we franchise Bryce Huff, is like 17.1 million for a year. So I just will quickly, do you think that that's a possibility, Ray?
No, I think they'll let him go. I don't think they'll. I mean, I would have started negotiating with him either at the end of last year or right off the bat to start this year, instead of wait until he starts tearing it up. And now everybody's talking about him. He's going to cost them to keep him as it is. I don't think they'll do the I don't think they'll
franchise
tag on him. Yeah, I just don't think that
they can match though, whoever gives him an offer.
Is he a restricted free agent or
I believe so.
If he's restricted, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, aren't there two tags, franchise and transactional tag? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think the transactional one is the one where if they sign him, they can match it. I think.
But
you don't get a first rounder for, I don't know how, this is free agent. This isn't.
Right. If they let him go, though, all they're going to do is get a third round pick.
Right. Yeah.
Comp pick, which is really nothing. Okay. And Ralph, I just want you had mentioned some of the tackles, which I don't want to get into that yet, but I just want to tell you a little bit of good news is that I was reviewing some of the film from the Buffalo and the Miami game, because Ralph had asked me about Carter Warren. He looked better than I thought when I was watching the game live. And
Good.
This is a guy that he's only played 2 games, coming off an injury, didn't have a tremendous amount of practice time. So let's keep an eye on this guy at left tackle. So that's a pretty good sign. I want to give you my keys to a win over the Falcons. Okay. Anyway, as we said before, the Falcons keep losing, but they're I think in first place.
Yes, they are.
This game, the
He
Jets
lost their way into first.
it's going to be a low-scoring game. The Jets have to play it straight up on defense, no blitzing. Ritter will make mistakes. The Jets are 31st against the run, but they still have to play up in the box, try to force him to pass. Bijan Robinson scares me. That guy is getting better and better. I would even put maybe an extra defensive lineman, like a 5-man front. The thing I want to add too, and this isn't a key, but the Jets have become an awful team the last few games, tackling players in space. They got to do a much better job. So the first key is to play it straight up, don't blitz, and up in the box. I would keep a tight end in the backfield to help block. Sometimes these 5 things, it's like repetitive every week. It's like,
well, Marty, in 2 more weeks, they're going to pick up on that one.
Yeah, 1 or 2 to the same. I don't care who it is, but you got to keep someone back there to block. On offense, I want the Jets to use more motion. When they played the Chiefs, and it's unbelievable how many Jet fans they are looking for good games. They bring up the Chief game, a game they lost. It's unbelievable, but they did do a lot of motion. So I'd like to do a lot of motion on that too. Here's something that's going to flip you guys out. The 4th key, I would start throwing the ball. He's going to be active to Alan Lazard. I think he could have a pretty good game. I think he was working hard this week because they had that Black Friday game. He had an extra couple of days to think, to become serious. I think he's going to have a good game. And the last one is Salah cannot hesitate to replace Boyle with Simeon. I mean, even though they only have a 1% chance of making the playoffs, it's still a chance. And look, I don't want to hang my hat on the rest of the year seeing Aaron Rodgers on the field for 2 or 3 games. I'm just not interested in that. I just want to win football games. So those are my 5 keys. I'd like your feedback. A couple of things, other things I want to point out. So the players I mentioned, Bijan Robinson scares me. Kyle Pitts, who's very talented, he just hasn't lived up to his reputation. Though he hurt us, I think he hurt us in that game in England, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, and I'm sure part of it is that their quarterbacking has been terrible. It's like
Right.
Like Garrett Wilson can't get off the ground because he doesn't have a good quarterback. Yeah.
Well, that's a good lesson for all these people that they want their team to draft Bowers from Georgia.
Oh,
I know.
And that's really, I know it's very. He's a really good player, but
He's really good. But in the
what's
first
the
round,
point?
no, it doesn't. Yeah, I agree with you. He's probably one of the top 10 rated players. He probably shouldn't even go to the first round to a playoff team. And another player that I'm nervous about is, and I wanted him for the Jets, Calais Campbell, who's doing pretty good. He's got 3 sacks. And the other player they got to watch out for, Jesse Bates. I think he returned a interception for a touchdown. I want to point out a player. They picked up a player, an undrafted free agent from Colorado, Nate Landman. He's been a linebacker, has been playing really good. He didn't practice Wednesday because of an injury. I don't know about today, but that guy's a good ball player. So again, my 5 points: play straight up, no blitzing, play up in the box, keep an extra tight end to block. I want more motion, target Allen Lazard. I wonder who's going to disagree on that one. And Salah cannot hesitate to replace Boyle with Simeon. All right, Ralph, your reaction.
Well, as far as the last one goes, I totally agree with you about not hesitating. But knowing Salah, he was so patient with Zach all these games for the last year and a half. I don't see him doing it, no matter how bad Boyle plays, which is kind of a depressing thought. As far as the motion goes, Marty, we were talking the other day about Mike McDaniel and how he was doing all that stuff, getting, trying to put pressure on the ends and go wide with Tyreek Hill. And, the interesting thing is a lot of those plays didn't necessarily work for big, the Jets stopped a lot of them for short games, but he kept doing it and doing it. And you know what happened? He softened up the middle, and toward the end of the game, they were gashing them up the middle. This is one of the problems with Hackett and also LaFleur. They'll try something, and if it doesn't work the first time, they just leave it alone rather than continue to do it, like going long. Keep going long, even if nothing, because you're going to loosen them up. This is like, football 101. We're not geniuses here. I don't understand what they're thinking about, what was the other thing you said about, keeping rushing 4 guys against Ritter. I would make him beat them passing.
How about target Allen Lazard?
I have no problem with that. Frankly, I mean, I'm just happy when the Jets quarterback can actually get the ball out of his hands and toward a receiver.
Ralph, the reason I like that is because I was doing some reading. Apparently, Tim Boyle and Lazard were on the practice squad together. They developed a very good relationship, very rapport. So let's see if that could translate. All right, Ray, any reactions to Marty's 5 key points?
No, I mean, I think they're fair points. When you said, who was it you said killed the Jets, though, when we played them in London? Drake London?
Kyle Pitts.
The tight end.
Yeah.
That's the guy that scares me. That's the guy that I always feel like he's the one that, if anything, and Bijan Robinson, because we've had problems stopping running backs early in games all year pretty much, and I don't want to get him rolling.
We're 31st against the run, and Bijan Robinson has looked better and better. When he was coming out of college, I was praying and hoping one team in the Jets division wouldn't draft in the first round, and that was the Buffalo Bills. And I thank God that they didn't. But that guy's great. Anything else, Ray?
No, I think, the Lazard thing, I think he's not had a problem actually getting open and stuff. It's just, can he hang on to the damn ball? So I don't mind him throwing to him. Even Corey Davis, who had the drops, a lot of times he'd have his games where he'd hold on to it and look like a really good receiver. But they've as long as he holds on to it, that's what his whole problem has been, and I think that was more in his mind than anything. I don't mind. I don't hate Lazard. It was frustrating watching him either, and I think he kind of checked out a little bit when he was having a problem with the catches. Not concentrating. I think that's where some of the penalties were coming from. He was just losing he was so frustrated with not catching the ball that he lost other parts of his game too. But other than that, I thought, I don't think their offensive line's great. I think we can get plenty of pressure with just 4 guys. I think you're right. Our open field tackling and Sauce in particular has to be better.
Whitehead too.
Well,
he's
I've
my
given up on
nemesis.
Whitehead. I just hope that Whitehead doesn't try and play Ronnie Lott too much on guys like Pitts, and then
he can't even
bounce
touch a
off
guy
him.
now.
Yeah. So all in all, I think we got this is a good matchup for us in general. But
I agree. We lose the next 2 games, then we get into the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Yeah, I don't want Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams has already given a list of teams he wants to play for, and I don't want him either. I don't like him.
I don't like what's going on in this college sports now with this NIL. Yesterday, a player, he wouldn't play because he said his shorts weren't tight enough or something. They bought the wrong shorts. I don't like what's going on. They're just it's really like the Wild West out there. All right, before we get to the over-unders, a couple of questions. Ray, who's going to have more receiving yardage, Drake London or Garrett Wilson?
First, maybe the shorts were cutting off circulation. But I still think Garrett Wilson will, with Boyle hopefully throwing and being a little more. I think Drake London's good, but I don't think he's someone we can't handle on either side. I think both our DBs can handle Drake London.
Right. If I remember, he's tall, right? He was very good.
He's very big. Yeah.
He contested catches in college, right? He broke the
record. Which might help him against Reed, but I don't think that would matter against Sauce.
All right, Ralph, how about you?
I'm going to go with Drake London. I just think that Wilson's in a bad way right now, and I don't have any confidence in Tim Boyle.
Ralph, what our receiver can't hold on to the ball. Is that a problem? Okay.
The fact that he's asking advice from Alan Lazard is a problem.
Oh, yeah. All right, Ralph. Who's going to have more total yards rushing and receiving, Bijan Robinson or Breece Hall?
This is a tough one. I said if it was just rushing, I'd go with Robinson in a heartbeat. But Breece Hall is their most popular receiver now, so I'm going to say Breece Hall because I think he's going to break one finally.
All right, Ray.
I'm saying Robinson. That guy's so all around. I think we have trouble early in games with guys, and so it wouldn't surprise me if he has a big first half, and then we kind of corral him in a bit. But we'll see.
Right. All right. Some over-unders.
Who are you going with, Marty? Robinson or Breece Hall?
I'm going to go with Breece Hall. I'm a huge Breece Hall fan, and I know they're not opening up holes, but something's going on in his head. He's got to be due for a good game and to break one now. He started the season well, but I'm hoping he has.
Then teams realize that was our only offense, and
I know. So I'm going to say Breece Hall. All right, Ray, over under Desmond Ridder, 200 yards passing.
I think over, but not by much.
Ralph.
Yeah, I'll agree with Ray.
I'm going to say under. I'm going to start Tim Boyle, 150 yards passing. I'm going over. Okay. I could see him throwing a 5-yard screen pass to Breeze.
It goes 80. That's about how it would happen. Yeah.
Right. Okay, Ralph.
I'm going to say under because this team, they just won't let these guys throw the ball past the line of scrimmage. It's just
Ray.
What was it, 150?
Yeah.
Well, like we say, if somebody breaks one and it's a pass, then I'll go with over. I think he can get maybe 170.
Okay.
Wow.
How about the Jets scoring over under 10.5 points?
Let's see. I think I wrote it down. Let's see. Oh, I said over.
Okay, Ralph,
I'm going to say under. I like 10.
I'm going to say over. I like 14. Okay?
Wow.
This is the new. This is the new go NFL.
It
We getting
is.
a couple of safeties or something?
No, two touchdowns and extra point.
Wow.
All right,
Two extra points.
Jets
Wow.
personal fouls 3.5. This is a good one.
I did this for you, Marty.
I'm going to say under. Ralph.
Hey, I think 3 is a good number. Yeah, I'll go under.
Okay, Ray.
Yeah, I'm going under.
All right.
They can't do this.
All right. Game predictions. Let me start. I'm going to say the Jets are going to win 14-13. Okay. I think they're going to give Ritter a headache. Ralph, Ritter's a really good runner, though, too, right?
Yeah, he's mobile. Yeah, he's certainly a lot more mobile.
These
than
mobile
Tim Boyle.
quarterbacks, they kill us, especially in those 3rd and 14.
Yeah, he isn't that mobile. I mean, he can get around, but he's not going to take off like him.
I don't know. I remember Mac Jones running against us.
Oh my God.
That's true.
I remember Tom Brady
Yeah.
ran against us for a couple of first downs. All right. So what did you say, Ray, your game prediction?
Oh, I didn't, but I'm going Atlanta 16-13.
Okay. Ralph?
I got Atlanta 16-10.
Ooh.
All right. Marty's the only one thinking of Jets victory. Ralph is
Somebody had to carry the weight.
Yeah.
Ralph is going for that offensive lineman from Penn State. So that's what he's doing. All right, Ralph, repeat the trivia question.
Jeez, I can't.
Yeah,
All right. Before I repeat it, I just want to say one thing. People are still freaking out about this Hail Mary on Black Friday thing, and they say it's the worst moment in Jet history. People talk about the butt fumble, but I don't know if people remember that game. Before the butt fumble, do you remember in the second quarter against the Patriots? The Patriots scored 3 touchdowns in like 90 seconds against them. It was like 2 fumble returns and like an 80-yard swing pass. And then 3 minutes later, Julian Edelman caught a 50-yard. It was the most embarrassing 3 minutes. It was awful. That was way worse than either of these other things, as far as I can see.
Ralph, wasn't that the same year that the Jets won in the playoffs?
No, it was 2012. They were toast by this time. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the beginning of the end for Rex Ryan, as this will be the beginning of the end for Sal. Okay, the trivia question. So the Jets in the new millennium have won 1 out of 5 games against Atlanta. It was in 2013. They won the game 30-28, which would be a nice score for Sunday's game, a little entertainment. And the quarterback threw 3 touchdowns. Who is the quarterback and who were the 3 receivers, 2 of them tight ends who caught those touchdown passes?
I'll start. I'm going to take a wild guess on the tight end. First of all, quarterback, I'm going to just say Geno Smith.
That's correct.
Okay. And
I didn't have that.
The tight ends, I have no idea. I'm just throwing a name. Remember they had a guy, Cumberland?
Marty, he got it. Oh, that's one. That's
don't know
great.
I don't know the other one.
The other one's going to shock you. Ray, do you have any idea?
I had so little clue. I was trying to think of quarterbacks. I said,
well, the wide receiver. The wide receiver. Well, first of all, Cumberland. When I think back, I feel like Cumberland was only here like 4 or 5 years ago. That's 10 years ago. I get him mixed up with Lawrence Cager sometimes. But
I thought Cumberland had potential, to be honest with
you. Yeah.
I liked him.
The wide receiver was Jeremy Curley. And the other tight end, are you ready for this? Kellen Winslow Jr.
Oh yeah. Kellen Winslow.
Wow. And now he's in jail.
Oh my God. Is that guy had
he was trouble the whole way.
And he was like the 5th guy picked in the draft his year,
Yeah, and then he went out and rode a motorcycle that he didn't know how to ride motorcycles. He got on a motorcycle and wrecked his
Whoa.
How
did the Jets not draft him? That's what I don't understand.
That's why they picked him up later. They're like, we've been waiting on you.
They picked him up off the ground.
It's, these guys, I'll tell you, I remember Bill Parcells used to say on Mondays, they say, do you go right to the films? He goes, well, first I have to put out the fires, what happened, and you look at what's going on with this Buffalo Bill player. What's his name?
Stephon Diggs.
No, the defensive player who they just picked him up. He came off the. He was injured. He does. He does a lot of sacks. You know who he is.
Oh, Von Miller
Von Miller
Von
arrest
Miller.
I don't know if you heard today. An arrest warrant is out for him.
No, I didn't hear that one.
Oh yeah, big news. It's all not just sports, and it's all over. Arrest.
Not on my phone. I gotta get a new phone, I guess, huh?
It's out for him in Dallas. Apparently, he assaulted his pregnant girlfriend. So
He'll be back in 2 weeks. Then that's the NFL's way.
So it's just dealing with these guys, and I heard coaches say, if I had to do it over again, I would have sacrificed some of those playoff games to have good citizens on my team. He says it was such a headache. It was just unbelievable,
I'm surprised, Von Miller. He's so much older now. It's usually these young guys who are. But Jesus,
yeah. So look, I hope if it is true. Hopefully the pregnant woman is okay. I want to wish her well, and Von Miller, I don't know what to say about you, really, but let's let justice take its course. And again, we're entering December, and I always have a push, and I always say it. There are a lot of needy people out there. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, or Jet fan, or Giant fan, or Patriot fan. Think of everyone, and go to your local food bank, a synagogue, a temple, a mosque, and I'm sure if you bring canned foods, they'll appreciate it. Anything else, guys, before we close it up? Big college weekend, huge. Tomorrow night, Washington, Oregon. The 3 most exciting college teams in the country are Washington, Oregon, and LSU. I'm not saying the best.
Alabama and Georgia should be a good game.
That should be good. It should be good, too. So, all right, anything else before we close it out? For Ralph Schrager.
No, I would say that anyone who can call the Final Four teams in the NCAA at this moment is pretty smart, because it's a pretty tough call.
It's true. You're absolutely right, as usual. And Marty Schupak in Valley Cottage. Enjoy the Atlanta Falcon game. Let's go Jets. Until next time.